Hello, hello, sweet friends. Today, I am so glad to be here, and I am doing a guest presentation for Karen over at Crowning Touch Designs over on Facebook. I'm streaming right now to Karen's page and also into my channel on on YouTube. So if you are seeing, if we're making comments to people who are or if we're answering comments and you don't see anybody talking or you don't see that particular comment, you'll know it must be in the other place. So we are so glad to have you here today, and we are going to do something really fun today. We are going to make some super easy cards and a little folio to keep them in. And so that means that by making these little quick cards and a folio, you've got a quick gift that you can give someone. And so it's thoughtful, it's useful. We're not going to do a ton to them, and I'm going to show you how you can make that happen, because not everybody has all kinds of stuff to do card making. And I most certainly want to show you a really cool thing that I have found out, and a way to figure out how to use some fancy paper and be able to create those cards. And so we're looking here for our friends to be popping on here, and let's see. And I don't like to wait for everybody to come on, because so many people watch the replays and they don't want to just sit there looking. They don't want to watch us just sitting around looking, right? So we're going to get going here, and then we'll come back. I'll tell people what's going on, but I do want to be mindful of your time as well. So in light of that, I am going to pop us down here to the workspace, so you can see what is going on. And let's see, there you go. So this is, now I promised that we were going to look at how to take some of these papers. A lot of times we're going to use a piece of scrapbook paper for our card fronts, okay? And a lot of times we will find these papers, sometimes they might be in a pad of paper, and you just look at them and you think, well, what in the world am I going to do with that? There's so much going on. How in the world would I ever be able to figure out how to use that? And I've got two examples of that. This is kind of whimsical and fun, and this other one is a very vintage looking paper. And you can see this one is more of a scene, so to speak. And you could even do this. Sometimes you find a paper that has a whole scene, right? And that's a fun page to use, but you got to figure out what to do with it, right? So anyway, come on in and tell us that you're here so we can say hello. And hang on a second. There we go. Now I can see comments. So we always like to be able to see the comments, right? All right, so we are good to go. So this one has more of a vintage look. Both of these papers have come from packs from Crafter's Companion. I really like some of their papers because they're just a nice weight. They're a nice weight if you want to do something perhaps for a paper, constructing something out of paper. They're a very nice weight. And just for card making. And usually I find that things that are like a double-sided print, they seem to be even they have a little bit more heft to them, so to speak. Hello, Esther. And so this is what we're going to do. Okay, so if you were looking at this, how would you decide how you were going to cut it? And what size would you make? Well, I wanted you to get the most bang for your buck today. And so we're going to do 6 cards out of just one sheet. But how do you decide which way you're going to cut it? And that's the dilemma. Very, very, it's hard to decide. If you're like me, there's so many options, and options make it hard. There's too many things. So let's take a look at this first one, and I'm going to show you a fun thing that I have done to be able to figure this out. I have taken a piece of acetate. Now, a lot of times we make cards in one of the standard sizes. Now, we could get 4 5x7 card fronts out of here, but I wanted you to make 6 because we want to be sure to make, you know, be able to have enough to make it giftable, right? So this little card is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch when you fold it up. So this is like a letter size piece of paper in half, okay? And this is a very common little card size, and we call this an A2 size card. So if you hear people talking about that, that's the size that they are, okay? And so if you want to do that, that's fine. You can also make some cards, and you could cut 3, and I'll give you this as an example. You could cut 3 strips of a 12 by 12 card and fold it in half, and then you've got a 4 by 6 inch card, which is kind of like, I think they call it a postcard size. And if you want to get envelopes that are that size, now this says these are an A2. Maybe I am not, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, those are not the right ones, you guys. Oh shoot, what did I do with them? Well, now I don't see where those cards are, the envelopes. Anyway, they say that they're a postcard size. That was what the envelopes say. A2 is this other one that I showed you first. But here is my super duper trick, you guys. This can really change how you see how to make an easy card. So I just took a piece of acetate. Now I have a 12 by 12 piece acetate. I had bought some of these on Amazon because I wanted to cut some of my own stencils, all right? And so I just took a Sharpie, or you could take any kind of an alcohol marker because that's what's going to stick to acetate. And I just divided it up. These are 4 inches across. And then I just did it at 6 down the middle. So now I can look at this paper and I can say, well, look at how many little card fronts we would have if we would want to put them this way, and this would be the orientation that we want to use. We could do that. But look, it kind of cuts this unicorn's head off. Now, if I would have just started, you know, whacking the paper down and not had any, taken any care to see what direction that would be, then that would be a problem. Hey, Jessica, how are you today? And so you can twist it around, turn it the other way, and now look what happens. Now we've got these real pretty pieces where we've got, you know, some flowers and some script on them, and the unicorn is actually all together in this one. So by just using this really simple technique, look, I was able to decide, you know, which way I wanted it. Now, you wouldn't have to use the special size of, you know, of a card if you wanted, if you didn't want to. If you've already got, and because those the card bases, like we were just talking about, you can get those real reasonable and have a whole pack of card bases already cut, and you don't even have to mess around with it. So if we were going to do that, I would still cut them I would still make them 4 inches wide, and then I would because I would make it like I was going to have a mat on the card. So if I cut them 4 inches wide, let me get that little card front again and my ruler, and I'll show you. Let's see here. So if we do them this way, and we have 4 inches, we're going to have just that tiny bit on each side. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. Hang on just a second. See how you would have just this little bit on each side? And so if we're going to do it 4 inches wide to be able to get 3 of them across, then we also need that same little amount taken off, so we've got the little bit on the top and the bottom. And so then that would be this would be 5 and, well, they're 5 1/2, so you would want to cut it at 5 1/4, and then you would bump it down, and then you've got that little 1/8 inch for a mat on each side. And you can just use the card back. You could actually cut mats if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You know, just make it easy. And especially when you got this fancy paper, you can make it super easy. So in light of that, when you mark them off this way, so they would be 4 inches wide and 5 1/4 this way. Here's still your 6 cards. And so by doing your 6 cards, then you've got several ways that you can, look at this. So again, if we put it this way, we can have one strip that is going to be, whoops, now I need to zoom out a little. You've got one strip that is going to work really great to have for some extra, and so you still want to keep that. So see, you've got that, but maybe we need to check and see how that's going to look. Do we want the top for that extra strip? Do we want the bottom? Well, look, we've still got this problem with this poor unicorn, like getting him, cut off, right? So turn it around and see how it looks this way. And look, we can cut that strip over here. We can get this whole unicorn in here. Or, do we want to cut the strip on this side, or do we want to cut it on this side? Well, look, if we cut it on this side, if we cut our strip on this side, we've got this unicorn's bottom in 1/2 of it. So, it looks to me like if I was going to cut this one, this would be the way to go for that size. Does that make sense? I think that is so, so cool. And yes, Karen, I'm just showing how to cut this part into 6 pieces, but so you get, the best look into how you want to do it. Because if you just start whacking the paper off, a lot of times you haven't gotten the paper that, you don't have the pieces that are going to look the best for your card fronts. And so then, yes, and that seems so silly and so simple, but it really is a handy tool. And so on the other one, what happened to my other one that we were just looking at with the other 6 pieces? Here it is. So again, this is the same thing. Do I want to cut it this way, going up and down, or do I want to make them, this direction? And for this paper, it doesn't really look like it matters too much at all. Although if I do it this way, I've got my whole little, perfume bottle is in one piece here. And then again, if we wanted to look at it for the regular size little card fronts, then we are, then we can look at it, this way and decide which side we want to trim off and not have anything. On this one, I think I would trim off the side over here because all your goodies are, over here. Your real pretty things are over there. So whichever way that you want to do it. And so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to let you guys decide which paper that we're going to make our cards from today. Shall we use, I'm just going to choose this one we'll call this one A and we'll call this one B. Which one would you guys like for me to, okay, so going back, we're just talking about when you've got a really busy piece of paper that isn't like an overall print, how are you going to cut it? So that you can get as much on each card. And so what the cards are going to look like. And that's it. Nothing, no rocket science here, but it is a really clever way to get it to where you can come out with the best designs on all your cards, right? So now then, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to let you guys pick. Do we want to do A or B to use for our card fronts? Which would you guys like me to do? Either one they're gonna make beautiful cards, either one. And did you guys see on the back of this one, I flipped it over once. You also, once you get them cut, you also could, if you wanted to, you could flip them over and have some of them, on this side as well. So A or B, you guys, which one would you like me to do? I'm open to either one today. I'm gonna let you choose. I love doing audience participation and selecting which direction we go. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I've got everything all ready and I can't really do that. So Jessica says B. She would like to see this one done. Anybody else? Oh, Karen wants A. So we've got half and half right now. Do we have any tiebreakers? Sometimes we have a little bit of a lag with from the time people hear me and then, their response comes back. So we'll wait just a second here to see if anybody else wants to weigh in on what we're going to use. We've got more people who have been coming in. Oh, we've got more bees. We've got more bees coming in. And so everybody, thank you for joining us today. We're just making this easy little card set. So easy to, take care of. Okay, everybody, we've got, Karen. They've outvoted you, my dear. Oh, we finally got another A. Donna would like A. And, maybe we'll come back and do those another time too. We'll do the other ones. But just such a fun card. Okay, so I think we got B's have beat out the A's for today. So let's go ahead and get going. And it doesn't matter which way that you go. We can't. Now, what's going to happen is if you decide there aren't really readily card bases ready that are for the 4x6 cards. And so if you do that, then you've got to go ahead and cut your own card bases. So, we could do that real easily. Okay, now let's see. Let me see which size. I'm going to let you choose this one too. We'll call this A to cut them this direction. To cut vertically. I got this little piece of paper here. Should we cut this one going vertically? So we'll call this one A. And we'll call this one B. And, well, by the way, I'm going to let you decide too. Okay, wait. Before we do that, you guys, which would you like me to do? Would you like me to do the card bases that are our normal size cards that we have for this one? So we'll call this one A, and we'll call the 4x6 B. So small or big. Small is A and big is B. So which way should we go for this today? And we will look and see what everybody would like to see today. And that really doesn't matter. It's just going to cut the cards a little bit smaller. Okay. So the 4x6 cards are B. And the other ones that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards, those are going to be A. So let's decide real quick on that too. And either way, they're quick to cut. Super quick to cut. So which would you like? If we do these, I already have card fronts. If we do these, I'll have to cut. I've got card bases for this. Okay, everybody wants the. Are we saying B to this one too, you guys? Now I can't tell if this is for the first one. Oh my goodness. Oh. Or maybe we should just say big or small. Do you want the small ones or the larger, the big ones? Small or big? I shouldn't have done A or B. I should have, because now then I couldn't see. I couldn't decide if people were talking about the first one or the second one. That was silly. That was silly of me. I'm so sorry. So the small cards or the larger ones, and you can just say big. Which one should we go with? Okay, Esther says the big ones. They're wanting the big ones. And we can do that. I only see Esther so far. Thank you, Esther. And thank you, everybody, for commenting and chiming in. Karen wants the small ones. Linda says big. Okay. Okay, everybody, we got more big ones. Okay, let's get going then. Let's go ahead and get going on this. So first off, what we're going to have to do is we need to cut our card bases. And that's going to be real easy. And I may not do all of these right now because we're going to make our little folio too. So all we're going to do is we're going to cut these at 4 inches. And this way we can get 3 off of each card. Whoops, where am I measuring? So 4 inches, and then you're just going to fold them in half. And let's see, where's my scoring tool? Well, there it is. And then you just score it at 6 inches. And that's one thing nice about some of these paper trimmers that have the little ditch where the blade runs through, is then you've got your makes a handy little space you can also score with. And some people have the combination tools that have a cutting blade and a scoring tool. Okay, so I've got those. And let's go ahead. And I'm going to make the decision about this one. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these the same way. And that actually is going to make our card open. We would open it from the top down. So we're just going to cut these, and so we'll cut these at 4 inches. And I tell you what, until I learned about this technique, sometimes I would get these pieces of papers that had so much going on them, and I would think, what in the world am I ever going to do with that without cutting it up? I don't know what, what to do with it. Okay, we just got our 6 inches. And these are going to make such pretty cards without doing much of anything to them. So these papers that can be super busy on them, they can actually work to your advantage. So let's pop that out of the way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of, I'm going to put a little bit of ink on the edges. So here, this is a pretty one. So we're just going to ink it up a tiny bit here on the edges, because this can make a real difference, right? I don't know, to me it just is kind of a finishing touch. Now, and I'm going to give you fair warning, I'm not going to do a whole bunch to bling these up or anything today. You guys all know the many ways that we have to add a lot of bling to projects, right? And Karen is so good about, fancifying a piece of paper and making it fabulous. And so I know you have seen her do many things. I love to keep little tiny pearls and rhinestones on hand, because I just think that just the tiniest of something to add can make the world a difference on a card. Or, just any kind of a project, right? You can use stickles and give it a little bit of bling that way. There's all kinds of things that you can add that you don't have to do. I can just see this would be so fun to even add some little bits of lace, or maybe even if you had some tiny bits of feather. Wouldn't that be fun? That would be super fun. So I'm going to go ahead. I am going to ink all of these up at once. These probably, even with the color of this, they probably would have been pretty with somewhat of a smoky colored ink on the sides too, right? They have kind of a different color to their background. So you just can make quick work of this, right? Oh, Jessica, you're so sweet. Thank you. We're always glad to have everybody here and share some fun ideas with you. It's our hope that when we show you things that somehow you'll have a little bit of inspiration and go out and make something yourself. And sometimes it's not anything like what we've made on a live with you. The mind has an interesting way of taking ideas and just kind of all of a sudden something else will pop into your mind. It's kind of like it gets in there and those ideas start to percolate, and then your little your brain shoots out something really fun. Percolate. Oh my goodness. How many of you are old enough, you know what a percolator was? The coffee pots. Remember those old coffee pots? Man, I remember my dad getting up and that would be the first thing he would do every morning. Get that percolator going. Oh my. And then I can remember when Mr. Coffee, I don't know, to me, I think Mr. Coffee was like the first one I remember being a, you know, a drip coffee maker. And man, people that loved coffee, they were so excited about that. It was just so different. Okay, you guys. Okay. I'm like, what happened to the card bases? Okay, so now we just fold these in half. And you can use a bone folder, or, you know, sometimes you might just have a ruler handy. Whatever you've got on hand. The side, you could take the side of a pencil. There's all kinds of things. If you don't have a bone folder, you know, there's all kinds of things that you can use. And so because we have made these this way, these need to be cards that open at the top. Now that's kind of interesting. That is a little bit too wide. I'm going to try to, actually, let me try and just trim it off with my scissors. Because I don't think this trimmer can cut that close. This is dangerous. There's no telling if I'll get close or not. How straight this will be. The top will be straight. That's what we're shooting for, though. I don't want any that's sticking out below. I should have tried to do it with my trimmer, but I didn't think it would go. Anyway, let's get going here. Okay. So yeah, this would be perfect for a quick little gift. And remember, it's not going to have taken as long as I have blabbed about it, because that explanation was rather lengthy. But when you finally got what I was talking about, it's pretty clever, right? So let's see which else we'll do here. Let's do these fun ones first. Can't you just see how fun these would be, like with a little bit more bling on them? But I do think, you know what? And I'm not going to worry about, I'm not going to put a greeting on them or a sentiment or anything. You can if you want to do that. But when you've got these fancy papers, let them do the work. If you're going to, you know, give them as a gift, because you know what? Haven't you seen, like in the stationery area, they sell cards that do not have sentiments. It's just a box of cards with some kind of a scene on it, right? And that's what we're going for here. And this is pretty. It's just got, you know, a flower, but you know, when you just look at it by itself, it looks fine. And you don't know that it came from a whole page of all kinds of other things on it, right? You would have no idea that it was all cut apart. It kind of looks like it was supposed to be that way for this card. I think so anyway. We just get that on there. Wiggle that into place. I like to use wet glue because it gives me just a second to get that in the spot it needs. Okay, so that is those are going to be our cards. And we've just got 3 of them done. We need to get going here, and let's go ahead and make our folio. So, oh, excuse me, goodness. Now this red, although it looks better in person, I'm not real wild about how it looks now. I did pull it out and I like the way it looked. I've got this kind of peachy color, and a lot of this kind of looks pretty with this more peachy color. And I think I'm going to make our little folio using this. I think that'll be fine. And this is that close to my heart paper, and it's lighter on one side than it is the other. I'm just going to use the dark side for the front. So what we need to do, let me grab my scoring tool. I'm going to go ahead and get this out this time. I am going to save. I'm going to show you. Last time I did this, I did a big boo-boo right on our live. So this is to redeem myself for that problem I did last time, you guys. Okay, first of all, we are going to score it at 1/2 inch and just do all the way down. And this again is a 12 by 12 paper. Let me move out a little bit. There you go. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, I think it looks a lot better, Karen. I think it has a better look to it. Okay, and now I'm going to give it a little bit of room, since we're going to put, you know, several things in it, and people could add their own things in it too, right? So 1/2 is going to be in the middle. I'm going to give it just a little bit of room to add things so that it has more room than just laying flat. It'll lay nicer. So we are going to score it at 5 7/8, and then at 6 1/8, and then over here at 11 1/2. And then I'm going to turn it around and I am going to score it at, now I need this much here. We scored at 4. I'm just going to go ahead and score it at about 4 1/2, because that'll actually give us a nice deep pocket for our little things to live in, so to speak. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And so now I am just going to cut. I'm going to cut on our shorter side where our little pocket is going to go up. I'm going to cut, let me think about that. Let me go ahead and fold our scores first. I don't want to do another goofy thing like I did last time. Okay, and then these in the middle, and it'll give us 1/4 inch deep little, you know, now I got that one done, it's hard to get the other one to bend. You know, sometimes if you need to help your paper bend, just place your ruler there, and that helps it kind of train that paper to go where you want it. Okay, there we go. And then this one is going to go up. See, now we're going to have a very deep little pocket, right? And so actually, I'm going to pinch this right here. I'm going to pinch this in half, you guys, because that's not going to matter. Only pinch it up there to that, almost to that fold. And now we're going to cut this off at a diagonal. Make sure it's even here. If it's not super even, it's not going to make or break your project. And then we're just going to cut off at a diagonal up to the score line. Okay? Let's see. There we go. There. And I'm going to round off the corners. Where's my tiny scissors? I've had these little scissors for a long, long time. They are very handy. I'm just going to give it a little curve. I just like the way it looks. And it's not so pointy, you know, it won't poke you. There's that too, right? Hello, Lori. Welcome. Linda, there's a lot of you. I will go back, and I think last time I completely forgot to go back and even, you know, say anything to our people who came, and I felt so bad, and then it was so long afterwards. It's like, well, that's silly. So now I'm just going to cut in here just to the first score, and this is our pocket side. And then I'm going to cut Oh, can't get my scissors on there. And then just cut that away. And do the same to the other side. These little folios like this are super simple to make. You guys, you're gonna, if you were on here before and saw what I did last time when I made the folio, you're gonna, when we get to that point and you find out, I'll tell you what I did wrong. Okay. Now this one, I am going to trim this. I'm going to trim this at an angle here and the same up here. And just on both sides. Okay. Now this is what I did last time. I put this in here. No, I did it. I don't know what I did last time. Anyway, it was way too tight over here. And I didn't even have enough room for what we were trying to put in there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so silly. I couldn't believe I did that. Now this is what we need to do. Fold this over on the outside here, and then just take your scissors and just snip right here over to the edge. See what I'm doing? Just to the edge. Okay, and do the same on this side. And before I glue that, and you might just do it like this. This is easy. Just snip it there. Okay. Now, I'm gonna snip this at a tiny angle to give it a little bit more room. It doesn't really, I can feel it wants to kind of buckle in there. So I'm just gonna cut that. Just a tiny, it's a very thin triangle. Like this, okay? And now you're just going to fold this up, and we're going to put our adhesive on here. This part is going to glue down to the main part of the folder, our little folio. It's like a little folded thing with pockets. So we're just going to press that down. Just hold it a second while it adheres there. And then this one, we'll just put some adhesive on here. And by doing this, we give our little pocket all the room it needs to go clear over to the edge of our folder. And that's what I didn't do last time. You know, it's amazing to me the things that I know what to do, and then you know, you haven't done it in a while and you just forget. Okay, we'll just fold those like that. This one needs a tiny bit off, and you can just go back and clip that. There we go. So now we've just got our tiny little folio, and it's kind of thick, and we can put our cards in here, and then, you know, we've got something handy to give to somebody. And this one, and then you would put your envelopes in too. So you could put your cards on one side, or I tell you, probably to even up the bulk of what you've put in here, I would probably put like 3 cards and envelopes on one side and 3 cards and envelopes on the other side. And then you've kind of divided up, and it's not going to be super thick on one side or the other. Let's see. Yeah, Lori, you can always go back and watch the replay. That's always great too. Much prestige handmade. Yes, handmade is going to be more personal. And like I said, you can do all kinds of fun things to these. You know, I can see being able to put, and you know, stickles is a great way to add something very easily. Stickles is, that's a fast way to do bling, right? I bet a lot of you agree with that. So you can just pop these in here, and if you want to take a piece of ribbon, now I haven't shown you any kind of a fancy closure or anything on this. You know, a lot of times people will take some string and buttons. They might wrap it around and put just one button on it. You could do that. That would be easy. Hang on, let me grab my sari ribbon. I bought all of this sari ribbon on Amazon. It's like a whole pile. And I thought I would be, well, I didn't have any idea how much of it they would send me. And so I have this. I've been using it for quite a while. And I even have another one. I have another whole batch. When it comes, it's like all turned and tight and wound up, you know, super tight. And you open it up and it's like, oh my gosh. And I don't know really the best way to grab something out of here, but I'll tell you what I do. When I just find a color that I want to use, I just reach in here and I pull it out and I just clip it where I see the end of it is attached to the next thing. And you know, this is just scraps from what this was just scraps from the saris that they make. You know, that's what the ladies in India wear. And that was, it's just scraps. So, I mean, they're making money from something they wouldn't have normally, you know, made money for. Now, if this is what I'm going to use, what I would do is I would just put a tiny bit of glue on the back here. And then you've got it. Then it's not going to come undone. I mean, it's not going to get lost, I guess I should say. And you'll just have it there. And then it's got a way to stay closed, right? So it's not just flapping all open. And it's not, you know, it's not super fancy. You are welcome to put anything that you want on the front. I'll tell you what would be fun is if you made the other size of cards. Where's our little doodad here? If you made if this is the one that you made, if you chose to do this size of cards for the smaller size and you've got a strip of your papers that you used, that would be really pretty to then, like, you know, just glue part of it on the paper. And actually this is going to be 12 inches and you could actually run that around the entire thing. I mean, it would be plenty long to run around the entire little folder, right? So yeah, like I said, it's not super fancy. It's very useful. I think to me it's something that is thoughtful and useful, because and even better than that, if you think about it and you have time, what I would do is I would also add some postage stamps in with it. I think when you can add a few postage stamps in with it too, I think that makes it a true gift, because then they don't even have, you know, a lot of people don't mail a lot of things anymore. And I think the postage stamps is kind of a nice little touch too, right? But yeah, you could put, you know, a little bit of that. Some of these things you'd have enough. Maybe you could, you know, fussy cut some little bit out of the paper if you were going to do that. Let me see what's going on over here in the comments. Oh my goodness. Oh, thanks, LaRonda. Let me see. Okay, I don't see any questions. Did anybody have any questions? I'll wait a second and see how things are. Let me change back to the other thing. But yeah, we were just if you came on late, I was showing how you could use a couple of ways to decide which size of cards you wanted to make. And the ones we made are larger, and they're kind of a postcard size, but we're able to cut 3 cards from a 12 by 12 to make the base, and then you can get 6 card fronts for them. So So I was just showing, if you take a piece of acetate and you mark your dimensions on there, you can flip this around and decide, oh, there's our unicorn, and decide which way is going to be the best. And for this one, we found out that if you turn it this way, you can get your whole little unicorn in. So, I mean, that's kind of the point of this, just a way to kind of plan. Actually, it's just planning ahead, right? Instead of just flying by the seat of your pants, which, for those of you who know me, that you might really be surprised that I came up with doing something and made a plan. I don't know. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here. I know Karen really appreciates you coming and supporting her page during this time. And I would like to tell you another way, if you don't know, another way that you can support Karen's page right now is if you go back and you find other videos that are already on there that maybe you didn't see, and watch the video and let it play through. You can watch those. And did you know that most of our videos that we have now, when you're watching the replay, if you click the little gear icon, you can speed it up. And a lot of us, we can listen and process what's going on at a faster pace than probably what the presentation was. And that's just a little trick for getting through some of those videos. I mean, it's not like you're missing anything. And I'm so glad that they, started putting that as one of the options in the little gears for the replays. Because I like to see the whole thing, but, sometimes it's just, we're busy and we have things to do, but we do want to help support our friends and some of their wonderful pages. And Karen is one of those people that she is such a dear, and we are so glad, those of us who have been able to come on and help support her page and keep it, keep it going and growing, so to speak. So you guys, thank you so much. And Kathy, that's okay. You can come back and watch the replay. That'll help here on Karen's page. And you'll be able to breeze through some of the beginning as I'm explaining paper cutting. Some people were confused, like, you mean you're just talking about how to cut paper into 6 pieces? Yes, but it was with a plan. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day. We're almost to the end of the week. It's already Thursday. We're almost to the end of the week. So you guys take care, and we will see you again. Bye-bye. Thank you.